Now, Michelle Whitelaw is next, wherever Michelle is. Michelle's the mum who's saving her 11-year-old son where the medical system failed him, from 500 seizures a day down to only 4 in 300 days. Medical cannabis tinctures isn't failing her son like the system did. Welcome, Michelle and Jai.
Hello.
You're right. You want to sit down? Is that light too bright? Maybe sit over here. You right? It's a bit bright. Golly, most of you probably know me. I'm Michelle Whitelaw. I live in Brisbane. Probably been in the media. I think I counted yesterday about 32 times, or a bit more than that. Since December 2013, fighting for the right to use medical cannabis. Back in January 2010, Jai was diagnosed with epilepsy. That's right. Jai was diagnosed with epilepsy. Later down the track, we got 3 rare epilepsy syndrome diagnoses. We originally lived in Victoria at the time, and we were in the right location because we had the most leading, I suppose, hepatologists on board. So that is Professor Ingrid Sheffer. Most people do know her that deal with epilepsy. During that time, and between now and then, Jai had exhausted many pharmaceutical medications. I made this photo only a couple of weeks ago, and I'll quickly run through it. But this one here was the first medication that Jai was put on, which is also known as Tegretol. Then high-dose steroids, 50 milligrams a day for 11 months. High-dose benzos, up to 40 milligrams a day for nearly 5 years. High-dose diazepam, which is Valium, and then sodium valproate, which is also Eplum. Every medication Jai was on, he was on high dosage. We're talking 1,500 milligrams a day, but also other combinations. So he was actually on 5 different combinations of AEDs alone, with the Valium, with the benzos, and then just absolutely everything and anything. He, I believe, was, as it says, legally stoned for 5 years. He has been resuscitated. My husband and my daughter have performed CPR, waiting for paramedics. Paramedics have saved his life many a times, as of, you know, the neurologist in ED, but that was pumping him with midazolam, which also resulted in respiratory failure. So we weaned after speaking to our neurologist. My husband asked, if he's not going to get better and he's on 35 tablets a day, let's just rid it. Let's just get rid of them. We were advised not to because that could lead to his death. But that was his life. He was sleeping up to 18 hours a day on the couch, wheelchair bound, nasal gastric fed, many different types of diets, ketogenic diet. We had actually gone through everything like we were told to do as parents. So after weaning most of the tablets, and Jai came good. That was back in March 2014. He was able to walk again. He was talking. He attended school. I think it was a total of 9 weeks that year. So that was our good part. And then in November 2014, regression hit again. Knowing one of Jai's syndromes is called Landau-Kleffner syndrome. There's only about half a dozen of us families in Australia, and I believe it's noted as the top 7 rare neurological syndrome in the world. He has a combination of 3, which is Landau-Kleffner syndrome, ESES or CSWS, which means he has continual spike syndrome, which also Dacia Stevens has. And then also pseudo-Lennox syndrome. So we're on our own. I've never met another family here in Australia, let alone the world, with these combinations and autism. So these medications have all come at a cost. Jai lost his peripheral vision, lost his night vision, has cataracts, brittle bones. and many other complications. So as I said, we weaned most of them, left him on the valproate, and we had between March and November, which was quite good. We were still dealing with daily seizures. He has every type of seizure, which is there's over 40 of those. And, you know, maybe suffering 10 seizures a day was a brilliant day. That was our life. So his neurologist stated on Today Tonight back in 2013, he was the most complicated child she's ever dealt with, and he was having up to 500 seizures a day. So anyway, are you right? Yeah. Anyway, yeah, in November he regressed. The slate was white clean again. LKS basically means word deafness or childhood aphasia, which is basically dementia. So everything he has learnt, it just gets clean wiped and the slate cleaned, and we have to learn to talk again, we have to learn to feed again, we have to learn to toilet again. You know, it's shit. It's really shit when it's your child and they're really young and they don't understand, they can't verbalise. They can hear you talking, but it all mixed communication and the words come out mumble jumbled, if any words at all. Most children are non-verbal, so we're very lucky that Gianni literally went months at a time where he could not comprehend and could not verbalise. But so after fighting, I think it was at least only 12 months in the media saying we need an option because we knew we had exhausted all medications. There was no more miracle pharmaceutical medications that would improve Jai's situation. When he regressed in November, we were desperate. I pleaded and pleaded. I met with many MPs. I wrote to every MP, every Premier, every State Health Minister, the Federal Health Minister, Peter Dutton, who lives in our electorate. My husband and I actually met with him. We were told that, you know, cannabis is an illicit drug. He was an ex-police officer for 9 years and it's definitely no medical value. Every neurologist we've had this conversation with has all said roughly the same thing. So in November I desperately contacted Tony Bauer. I had contacted him in the past saying, is this an option? And I started doing my research. I've never smoked. I've never, you know, I just thought cannabis was bad. Cannabis is a drug. I didn't even know that you could get it in an oil or liquid form, but I'd contacted Tony. He said he could put Jai's name down on the list. That was back in 2013. So it was November, December 2014. I said, is Jai's name still on that list? I need to save my son. We're in hospital. We were discharged and told just to take him home. There was nothing else they could offer. And so I sat on that couch. I've said this many a times. My husband was away at the time. For nearly 2 days I sat and I cried on the couch, and I knew that I'm either going to break the law and be a criminal or watch my son keep deteriorating. So for 310 days I've been a criminal as of Jai. We appeared on the Channel 7, Channel 9 news last night, and Jai was a bit horrified that they called him a criminal. I draw up the medication and Jai administers it. We have had 4 breakthrough seizures in those 310 days. So when you know that, you know, we're talking 500 seizures a day, most we could not see because of the misfiring of the brain, which is the CSWS. That was happening at a spike rate of every 3 to 5 seconds. So every 3 to 5 seconds he was having a seizure. And what we were seeing and were dealing with, and then knowing how his brain was basically frying, the likelihood of him even getting through to teenagehood or puberty was very, very slim. Seeing my other children having to resuscitate him, do CPR, you know, calling the ambulance. I have post-traumatic stress disorder because of this condition. I hate it. I hate epilepsy. It's incurable, and there's not enough known about it, but all they do is want to pump your children with pharmaceuticals that reduce their quality of life. It's, you know, here in Queensland alone there is 95,000 GIs with epilepsy, and only 60, maybe up to 70% have some form of quality of life or seizure reduction on pharmaceutical medications. So it's not okay. The bright lights are affecting you. Go sit down with Dad. Or you can sit down here with Mum. Here, Jai, sit down here with Mum on the stage. Okay. So from the minute that I decided to break the law and to start giving Mullaways, within 48 hours seizures stopped. Within 48 hours his appetite increased. Within 48 hours he started to sleep better and he started to attend school. Jai started back at school in the January this year and they didn't even think he was going to come back to school. He's now been able to have academic report cards. We've never had that in his grade 5, so we've never ever had that happen before. The school have seen a child that they could not grade to someone now he's 18 months behind. Our neurologist, we took Jai back in after being discharged in December from hospital. Our appointment was in January. He raced up and he said, "I've got a bike for Christmas, I'm riding a bike." He's never been able to ride a bike before. He wasn't able to kick a ball. He wasn't able to even say what he was doing, how he could do it. He was just an empty shell. So she didn't want to ask why, because if she asks, she has to report us. So she just says, keep doing what you're doing. Our GP knows, he fully supports it. The school knows, because I was going out in the media with the police commissioner, I think that was back in February, and she's like, "Oh, I support medical cannabis for these trials." And I said, "Well, I'm not waiting. I'm not. My son, I don't want to bury him." And I get quite frustrated now with all the families in our situation that are happy to sit back and wait for the trials. I would never condone to break the law, but why risk their life? Why wait? Every day children are dying, whether it's from cancer or epilepsy or many different diseases, and incurable ones. So if something can change their quality of life, if something can give them quality of life, isn't it your duty of care as a parent to do that? You know, I think, and look back now, and I wish that I hadn't wasted my time for, 12 months in the media saying, change the laws, this MP supports it, this is great. But it's all broken promises. They will drag it out, they will take as long as they want, and people will die, and children will die, as in, your loved ones, and that's not okay. So what would you want to say?
Are we going to do questions? Are we going to ask some questions?
Oh, in a minute you can.
Okay.
But so anyway, Jai is left now on just one medication, the Eplum. He's been on it for nearly 6 years. We've been dealing with this. So he's only on a very mild dose and takes Mullaways. Tony Bauer has saved Jai's life. He's not a doctor. He's just a man that knows cannabis, and I'm not a specialist. I'm just a mum that, whether you call me a criminal or what have you, I know it works. I don't know how it works. I don't know why it works, but it does. Like, you can see it. The fact he can make eye contact with me now, the fact that, he's just a normal 11-year-old child that I didn't even think would even get this far. So, I don't know what else to say. A lot of people are using CBDs. A lot of people are using CBDs with the THCA. We're just using the THCA 3 times a day, and it's certainly working. He's so bored. Jai, sit up. Here, you can take it now. You can ask. Sit up. Sit, legs over the edge.
Okay.
So you can...
And did anyone want to ask me some questions?
Oh.
Well, in my birthday, got some, Skylanders.
Got Skylanders for his birthday. Stop, Sydney. So, but in regards to autism, I know someone asked a question just before. We noticed that when the seizures stopped, it was like the cloud had lifted. So everything that was seizure triggers, sound, smells, noise, all of that was more stronger, if that makes sense. So Jai became very, very sensitive and very anxious, and it took a couple of months for that to settle down, but now it's great. Like, I can't fault it. I can't find one side effect, one bad thing about cannabis. I just can't. And but every single one of these medications, and they're just a few, like we've exhausted, I think, 12 or so different medications, and then the diets, and then the IVIG, which they gave him his first dose, and within 8 minutes he was anaphylactic. So, you know, we've exhausted everything. So, yeah, so with the autism, the fact he can make eye contact and he can touch and mix different foods and eat those, and he wants to approach everyone, he wants to talk to everyone, he wants to be everyone's friend. So if you're dealing with children with autism, that alone is just huge, the benefits. We've had our first EEG reduction. We've had 37 of those. So the last one showed our first reduction. So the neurologist can't explain that. We went in for an ERG, which is for monitoring his eyes. He's under Professor Gold at the Lady Salento Hospital, who used to work with Fred Hallows. They couldn't find his cataracts. They believe his peripheral vision is coming back. So retina dystrophy, which actually, it's, I think, more of a... Dr. Cataleras might be able to explain that a bit better than me, but it's something that just doesn't go. Cataracts just don't go, and peripheral vision just doesn't come back. So we're waiting on the report for that, and they don't want to. We're seeing them every 3 months. They don't want to see us now for maybe 6 months to a year. So. Sorry. Yeah. Just wait. Sweetie.
I would like to know how much is he taking
The Mullaways, yeah.
every day or once a day?
Yeah, we do it every day, and we do it...
Once a day?
No, what I do is I draw the liquid up in the morning and at night time, and I hand Jai the syringe. He's only taking 3 mils of that, and then Jai still only attends half days at school,
Right.
Purely, especially in this heat, because he still has the triggers. We still, you know, get up some mornings and he looks pretty ordinary, but I just give him an extra dose, and within minutes he's fine. So
Within minutes?
yeah, like
Wow.
I'm able to prevent seizures coming back, but he's not cured. That's the thing, he's not cured, but it's a medicine that works. So the alcohol, the ethanol tinctures, that we soak that in gummy bears, and I
Wow.
hand him a gummy bear during the day. So he has the hemp seed oil, THCA, morning and night, because they last longer in the system, so that gets him to school for till 2 p.m. And the alcohol tincture ones, which we soak in the gummy bears,
Yes.
he has 2 of those a day. So he's on roughly, I think, 12 mils in total a day.
Great.
Yeah, so it's
And
only
that's only
very
a year, not even a year yet.
Sorry?
It's not even a year yet.
No, it's 310 days.
Wow.
So, yeah, that we've been administering. But, like, we've managed to wean most of those pharmaceuticals. He's only on one, and only on the low-dose Eplum now.
Absolutely a miracle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
We have a question for Jai. Sorry, I was rude.
Jai, how's school? Well, sometimes I do go to school really good, and sometimes bad times. And every Friday I go to the CJ class.
What, on Fridays?
And to
Free
do
choice.
auctions.
Oh, on school's sometimes good, sometimes bad, but Fridays are option days, and he likes that. Yeah.
Did anyone want any more questions?
Oh, there you go.
Hi, Jai. I want to know what's your favourite thing to eat?
My favorite thing to eat is chocolate.
Chocolate. He used to only eat, I think it was chicken nuggets and chocolate and what else? Nutella sandwiches on white bread. Now he'll eat everything I cook. Diet was very, very poor if he could eat because the steroids as well relaxed all the muscles in the throat, so he would choke and that would bring on seizures. So we literally, was either spoon feeding him or through a straw. He couldn't even drink out of a cup, couldn't hold a cup because he'd just drop all the time, one of his seizures. So with just the tonics. So yeah.
I don't have a question, but I just want to put something out there. My daughter's a little bit similar. She has seizures probably every 5 minutes that we see, but under EEG more often.
Yep, subclinical.
Yeah, she rattles when she walks.
Yeah.
She's only 4. We went to the chemist the other day to get one of these pharmaceutical drugs and it's been recalled. So you can't stop giving a epileptic all of a sudden a drug that she's on, so I think it's disgusting.
Yeah, and a lot of these medications actually, side effects on the big long list that you pull out of the box actually say seizures.
Yeah. And just having this medication that she has to have daily being recalled, and I've spent 4 days ringing around everywhere trying to get one bottle, just to, you can't run out of a plant. You can't not plant a seed in the ground. It's just a joke.
That's exactly. It's one of the safest medicines, but the thing is, I've had to retrain myself because I was, brought up in the 70s, and everyone was sort of, I suppose hippie pot smoking type thing. But then the stigma changed, or the stigma came along, and it was bad, and. So, I really think it's important. What made the penny drop for me was Googling the endocannabinoid system. How can you argue that? It just makes sense. So,
Hiya. Can you tell me how long was Jai on benzos?
On benzos? For the clobazam, it was, the Frisium, nearly 5 years.
Did you wean off that after he started the marijuana oil?
No, I weaned off prior because there's quite a few medications that can interact. And that's what a lot of it really worries me because I suppose America and overseas are a little bit more knowledgeable with these pharmaceutical medications, what is okay and what is not classed as okay with certain different oils, which is quite interesting.
What I was wanting to, I suppose, trying to get to was, were you able to wean off them faster than maybe otherwise? Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah, no, so what happened with us, I knew the steroids would interact. I knew from my own research, I knew the benzos would interact. I knew the Valiums would. Wean them as slow as I possibly could. I know children that have died trying to wean the benzos because the breakthrough seizures are that horrific that they go into status, they're intubated and in ICU, and that's what happens. So I weaned them off, and very, very slowly. It took 9 months to wean 40 milligrams of the benzos, 2.5 milligrams. I highly recommend going and finding a compound chemist, because when you've got the smallest little tablets and you're trying to cut them in quarters, it's a nightmare, because that small break off or that small little white speck is the difference between life and death. It really is, because they become dependent on it. And that was what made the penny drop with me, with our neurologist. I went in, the ambulance were taking us in every 6 weeks. He needed more. He needed more and more. He was totally dependent on high-dose benzos at the age of 8. And the fact he was on 40 milligrams a day, it was a narcotic. It's atrocious that he was left on that for 5 years. So, so we... Oh, come here. Come here. So we managed to wean all of that beforehand. But do your research. Speak to other parents. Don't try and get on it and hope that you can just wean everything really quickly, because that's not going to help. So up you get. Up. I know.
Put oil on it.
Hey? Come on, hop up.
All right, any more questions, anybody? Otherwise we're going to wrap this up. I think we're going to have a 10-minute break. Debbie?
Okay, well, let's have a 10-minute break. BJ has already said that, and then we'll come back with some other speakers.
All right, 10 minutes of food and coffee. Thank you to Michelle. What a beautiful story. And
Thank you.